Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel. It's been a bloody long time since I'd last filmed long form content for you guys. I think the last time I was filming one was when I was in Poland at the start of the year. Absolute class holiday, 100% recommend it. And that time you'd think a lot's changed. Would have grown back a luscious lock of hair, bigger calves, but unfortunately none of that is true. And if you're wondering why I'm walking a little bit on a ski wonk, like I've almost been pegged by a 10-foot barge pole, it's because I'm carrying my shopping bag from training with a client this morning. James absolutely smashed it out the bag, hitting 40 kilos on his overhead barbell press, which is 100% more than what I could lift. Last time I was doing it, I think I was on a Smith machine lifting about 30. I'm terrible at pressing generally, but flat pressing on a cable machine, definitely easier. Pushing it away from you is always easier than pushing above head. But one thing that has changed is that I'm no longer bulking. The bulk is over. And I'm now in a 6-week mini cut before my holiday. But before I elaborate on everything that I'm doing in regards to my nutrition, my training, it's time to get some food. Oh, I'm getting the Highlands minerals and just fucking good flavors, mate. Absolute fucking good flavor that is. That is the best flavor of Monster. And take a sip. That's some good aromas. Top 10 flavor that is. So yeah, the bulk is over. Now, if you haven't been following my progress or keeping up to date with my progress on Instagram, then make sure you drop me a follow. But let me bring you up to speed. So from January 24 to July 24, I dieted down for my first ever photo shoot. And I got in some pretty fucking sick shape. The best shape I've ever been in. I ended up finishing my photo shoot at 62.8 kilos, which is 2.2 kilos up from my previous gaining phase. And then since then, I've been in an 11-month gaining phase where I've gained around just over 11 kilos, which is around 1% of your body weight gained per month, which is a pretty standard and successful gaining phase. So the time has come to now trim down some fat, get a glimpse of what tissue I've added in my previous gaining phase. And in that phase, I've been prioritizing a lot more of my back and hamstrings, mainly because in 2026, I'm looking to compete in my first ever classic physique bodybuilding show. So I need a bigger back. So the calories for my mini cut have been set at 2,300 calories per day, and I'm already 6 days into week 1. 1.1 kilos down, which is a pretty decent amount and a good rate of loss so far. Now the calories that I'm on is a heck of a jump down from where I was in my gaining phase. On my gaining phase, I finished at 3,700 calories. Now you might be thinking that's a heck of a difference. And you're right, it's almost the same amount of calories that would be needed for a small midget to maintain size. But there's a reason for this. I'm not looking to get shredded. I'm just looking to trim down some fat and get a glimpse of what I built in the previous gain. So going more aggressive with my calories means I'm going to be much better able to maintain the muscle that I've built before I do push up my calories. So over the next 6 weeks, I'm going to be bringing you along for the ride, documenting everything from my training, my eating, but also how you can set up this whole process for yourself. So make sure you don't miss out and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next video, which is going to be a full day of eating. But for now, I'm going to go hit the gym, train quads, and take you a little bit through a glimpse of that session before going through a couple of rounds of posing, practicing my posing for my show, taking you through that so you can see where my physique's at after week 1 of my mini cuts.
We can make an impact, grab and then take it.
So that is my quads and tricep session done. Tough session today. Timed my nutrition really well, but with the wrong foods. So I normally would have my oats before, which I'm having now here, but instead I have my yogurt and granola and dark chocolate. So I'm going to swap the order of those foods around for the foreseeable, and that should help me out with my energy. When I was gaining, I would have an oats before I trained anyway. So just fancied the change today, and obviously it didn't work. So running order of the session, I didn't film the first exercise, which was the tricep rope extensions. A, because there was too many people, and B, I forgot my second daisy chain, and everyone else was using the other rope. So I can only use one rope at a time rather than attaching, two ropes, thread them all the way through to the end and doing the tricep extension. So 2 sets on that, 12 to 15 reps. Then moving into the overhead cable tricep extension. Now we put the tricep rope extension before to get a bit of blood flow going in to the tricep so that I can actually feel my long head a lot better going into the overhead. 2 sets on this again, and then going straight into some ab work. Now this ab exercise is really good because it allows you to really get that extra bit of extension that a normal sit-up wouldn't. Also allows you to load it a bit heavier. Now when you load this exercise, what you want to do is when you get to the top of the rep, when your back is over that mat, is place your hands on the rope so far up that when you get to the top, your arms are about 90 degrees, so that when you come over, your arms naturally close off and the weight gets then lighter. So we always want less weight in a position where we're weakest, which is when the muscle is contracting. Moving in then to the main bulk of the session, the leg extension. Now I haven't lifted heavy on a leg extension like this for a long time. Now you might be also thinking, why have I got so much shit going on the leg extension? So with using so much weight on this leg extension now, it actually bottoms out at the bottom. So the reason why I've got the 2 ab mats, it allows me to get a little bit more range of motion at the bottom so that when I get to the bottom, the weights don't touch. We want, all the weight to stay on the whole rep. We don't want the weight to be cut off at any point. So if you ever are maxing out machines, try and make, especially a leg extension, add a roll mat between your shins and the input pad, or 2 sets of ab mats, and that should do the job. I'm also using wrist wraps to lock myself in, pull myself into the seat as hard as I can, along with a makeshift seat belt made out of a resistance band. Tie the end, loop it over, and hook it back into the other side. And this really allows me to pull my bum into that seat and extend my legs. Now, when I do extend my legs, what I'm trying to think about on this rep is almost thinking about someone snapping my leg. So pushing my thigh down into the seat and snapping my shin upwards. That enables me to get that full lock out at the top of the rep. The other way you can think about it is imagine you're kicking a football up and over your head or doing a backflip. If you think about just kicking the input pad forwards, you won't get that full extension that you need. So make sure you do that in your next leg day or quad day, if you don't skip it, that is. The second exercise for quads, the main compound, is a hack squat. Now I run 2 sets on this on pretty much every exercise at the moment, and I'm doing a set of 6 to 10 on the first set and a set of 12 to 15 on the second set. Tough on this today. By the time I got to this part of the session, my energy was zapped. So obviously that's down to my choice of nutrition swaps there. And then the final big exercise was a leg press, high rep leg press, 12 to 15 reps, absolute killer. I absolutely hate this exercise, especially for high reps. If it's like a heavy set of 8 to 12, I could definitely get on with that. And then the final exercise is calf raises, but no one wants to see calf raises because everyone's got fucking small calves. I don't know anyone that's got big calves other than Chris Bumstead himself. And then I finished, after the session, I finished off with some posing, 1 round of posing because I was absolutely fucked. I'll pop on the screen what I look like before I started my mini cut, so literally last week. I'm not too sure whether it's a video or a photo, and I'll pop up what I was like today. Really trying to work on these poses at the moment so that when it comes to competing, it looks more natural in front of the judges. I don't want it to seem like it's a robotic thing. It needs to be smooth and transitional. So one thing I've really tried doing this posing this week is try to move from my front poses one after another, then my side poses one after another, and then my back poses one after another. Normally I'd only do like the couple of poses that I was actually really good at or fairly good at. I'm by no means a natural at posing and never have been. So trying to do all of the front ones and then moving on from there. One thing I struggle with my posing at the moment is getting a little bit more rotation on one side, but this is completely normal and you can work on it during, in the gym by doing some rotational oblique work and things like that. But generally, most people have an imbalance in terms of how far they can rotate their legs. A couple other things that I struggle with in my posing at the moment is also getting my hamstring swoop on my side poses. I have a tendency and a bad habit of tensing up. So while I'm trying to clamp my glutes together, I'll then try and tense my hamstring at the same time. So this is something I'm really trying to focus on not doing and just relaxing my leg, tensing my calf, tensing my glute, and letting my hamstring swoop down to give the illusion that my hamstrings are bigger. And a new pose I haven't tried before is the mandatory side relaxes. So I haven't done these in my progress photos for my coach in photos or in videos. So this is my kind of first run at it. And something I realized today is my feet positioning, just, one foot isn't in front of the other. And, my arm positioning for the back arm isn't particularly great either. So this is something that I'll probably work on over the next coming weeks with my coach. He'll give me some pointers and, we'll work from there. So in terms of this week, things have gone really, really well. Cardio has been really good. I'm currently using my bike, which is an absolute mission. It's one of those blood pressure bikes, so that, the actual resistance of the bike is terrible. It takes me a while to get up to that heart rate. And I'm doing 40 minutes of cardio a day on top of 12.5K steps. Now, when it comes to your cardio, and I'll elaborate this when I do the training vlog in terms of what you need to do for your training with your dieting and what I'm doing for my training, is don't start your timer until you're up at the heart rate that you need to be at. So if you're doing a 30-minute cycle, it might take you 15 minutes if you're not putting any effort in to get up to that specific heart rate zone of zone 2, which is normally between 120 beats per minute and 150 or 140 beats per minute. So don't start your timer until you start. And then obviously then keep that heart rate the whole way through until right to the end of that duration that you're trying to cycle for. Now, due to this being the first week of my diet, hunger has definitely been really high. And this is completely normal because of the amount of calories that I've dropped by. I've dropped by, like I said earlier, a whole small midget's calories, 1,500. And if you're on 1,500 calories, that's just how it is for yourself. But it's just a little bit of a joke there. But it's a massive jump. It's quite an aggressive cut, but over time, I will get used to this. The more sort of volume I add in and things like that. Tend to stick to the same foods all the time. So I'll have literally no carbs in the morning, more protein, fats. Then I have all my carbs around my training window. And then whatever I'm having with my dinner, either by myself or with me and my girlfriend, I'll then tend to take the carbs out and have it just with an extra lot of veg, just so I can really have all of my energy stored around and worked around my training windows. On rest days, I will still keep the same structure. 2 meals of carbs in, 2 meals without carbs in, and then I'll just distribute it accordingly. So normally what I tend to do if I'm on a rest day is I'll try and time my carbs, especially on a Monday when I'm doing check-ins, around when I'm doing check-ins. So carbs before and carbs after. If I'm doing a busy day of content filming, for example, on a Thursday, I'll put my carbs before that and the carbs after to help me focus and have a little more energy and things like that. And then days where I'm maybe walking a little bit more with friends and out being hot and stuff, I'll time it around that too. So that's just one little thing that you can do in terms of structuring your nutrition when you're dieting. And again, I will be filming a full day of eating on the next vlog, but also going through how to set up your calories, how to set up your nutrition, simple little meal structures and volume and tips and tricks to help you with your cuts and your diets to help you get set up in the best way possible. So if you've enjoyed today's vlog, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss the next video, and catch you in the next vlog.